Moremi, how did last week play out?
Last week was generally good in most counters. Though on the revenue and the turnover and liquidity, we are a little bit lower compared to last week. But in terms of improvement on the indices and capital gain on some counters, it was a good week.
A lot of analysts expect the market activity to remain between low to medium levels. What does that mean exactly and why?
Larry, after Q4 of last year and almost the whole half of this year, the government, through the Bank of Tanzania, instituted some measures to curb out inflation growth and stabilize the local currency. And these monetary policies resulted to a liquidity squeeze in the market. Interest rates skyrocketed almost, and borrowing became expensive. And this impacted on the business growth and investments and spending. But those measures by the central bank that were taken by the central bank then, we have seen now the situation improving. The shilling has stabilized. The inflation rate is now on manageable levels. Interest rates going down, and we are seeing now more liquidity in the market. There has been some increased lending in the private sector, and more economic activities are now happening. And therefore, we expect more liquidity and surplus income and disposable income for investing.
The liquidity numbers, as you said, are picking up quite well as well, so investors are coming up. But I see a lot of investor appetite, especially foreign investor appetite, in CRDB, in the banking counters like CRDB and MMB.
Yes, that has been the case. As we talked the other time, foreign investors will be interested in those counters and other counters as well, but mainly on the banking segment, because that's the area where foreign investors are still allowed to participate. But you add that to TBL as well, because that's also the Capital Markets and Securities Authority approved for East African investors to participate in that counter. Now, why do you see most foreign investors coming in those counters? Because there are good growth in that area in terms of fundamentals of these companies, but also in terms of undervaluation of these shares in the market. So there are good values that you pick when you select these counters.
Let's move on to the economic front as a whole. The GDP numbers out yesterday, the economy growth rate of about 6.9%, mining especially, and power dropped that significantly. What did you make of the latest GDP figures?
It's been good. It's been good, especially if you compare to the IMF initial projections of the GDP growth. We have seen some good growth so far for the first half, which was 7.1, and for the second, for the first quarter, it was 7.1. Second quarter, we have seen 6.9. And the key growth areas that we have seen so far is manufacturing, production, goods, services. We have seen good growth in trading, wholesale and retail, agriculture, energy and infrastructure. Though on the mining, as you say, we have seen some non-growth in that area, and mainly because of one of the golds here called Geita Gold has been closed for maintenance. So and it has been about 2 months since the closure, and that's where you see decreased activities coming from the mining sector.